Before any players ever joined the server, the villagers once fought a fierce war against the pillagers. Back then, the villagers weren't nearly as dim-witted as they are now, even though the pillagers had the numbers advantage. When it came to individual combat strength, the villagers were no weaker than them. They even had iron golems, non-carbon-based beings, holding the line. At one point, they fought so hard the pillagers began questioning their own existence. But war is cruel. Although the villagers won, the cost they paid was devastating. They didn't know whether to feel happy or heartbroken. Before they could even process their emotions, violent tremors shook the ground, driving them into despair. Oh no, it's a ravager. Haha! The pillagers' powerful reinforcements finally arrived. Their leader even brought several trusted lieutenants. The number of pillagers was impossible to count. An overwhelming sense of pressure swept over the battlefield. The villager general quickly regrouped the troops. The surviving soldiers and those with lighter injuries formed ranks to face the enemy. Their courage in the face of such a powerful foe was admirable, but the pillagers had an overwhelming numerical advantage and superior generations of forces. The outcome of the battle already seemed inevitable. The villager king knew the situation was hopeless. If this continued, total annihilation was the only result. A scout signaled from afar, urging the king to retreat immediately. Withdrawing now might leave a slim chance of survival. The king was unwilling to accept it, but he had no choice. Fuck. The remaining troops and the king managed to escape back to the village. At least they survived, which was a small mercy. Along the way, everyone hung their heads in defeat. They couldn't even face the villagers back home. The king looked up, remembering how before the campaign, he had sworn right here to wipe out the pillagers. Now he returned in crushing defeat, with even the iron golem captured by the enemy. Shame weighed heavily on his heart. The gate guard pulled the lever, and the city gate slowly opened. The soldiers entered in an orderly line. The villagers inside had no idea how the battle had ended, believing the army had returned victorious. But when they saw the soldiers' condition, they instantly understood the truth. The joy on their faces turned into a long, heavy sigh. They would continue living under the shadow of the pillagers. Suddenly, a villager came running over. Tyr told the general about a major discovery. The general's pupils slowly widened, clearly struggling to believe it. He rushed to the palace and reported the news to the king. At that moment, the king's silence was terrifying. It was the rage he felt toward his own failure. That inner roar was deafening. Whether he even heard the general's report was unclear. He turned and walked into the palace garden. The palace stood at the highest point, overlooking the entire village. The king knew the pillagers wouldn't stop there. It wouldn't be long before they attacked again. When that happened, the villagers would have little chance of survival, and the news they had just received might be the key to turning things around. So, the general ordered a scout to verify the information. On the pillagers' side, the atmosphere was completely different from the village. After defeating the villagers, their morale was sky high. The leader approached the cage holding the iron golem, trying to force it into serving them. But a loyal iron golem would never switch sides so easily. At that moment, the pillagers gained a new ally, the evokers. Villagers stuck in the age of cold weapons stood no chance against the evokers' magic. Together, they planned to wipe out the villagers once and for all. The pillagers couldn't wait to march on the city. Standing atop the watchtower, the pillager leader told his men that the strong devour the weak. Their land and their wealth will belong to us. Meanwhile, the scout rushed back to the palace. He brought with him hope of turning the tide. After reaching the location mentioned in the report, he unexpectedly found a player there. Unbelievable. The legendary player had actually appeared. To show their sincerity, the villager king personally went to invite the player. Led by the scout, they quickly arrived at the player's location. Once again, it was the familiar matchbox-style doorway. A large field of crops grew out front, with plenty of lanterns providing light for the plants. Besides ants, the player also raised chickens and sheep. It was clear that this player had successfully made it past the beginner stage. After dismounting, the villager general carefully climbed the steps and knocked on the door.